Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Raceface.Pro GT3 iRacing Sprint Series Pro Division here at Watkins Glen. My name is Stephen Koenig, and thank you very much for joining me tonight, as it's been a little bit away from the microphone of late, and apologies for that, but we are back with all the racing action. And just saying that, our live timing decided it's going to fall off a cliff. Apologies for that. We'll get that underway. At the top of the order, though, it is Wolfgang Weiss that is leading out the pack, looking to really put himself towards the top and ensure that he is in full fighting order. Ryan Otten's lying in second place. Jason Coetzee, René Dresner. Florian Klenner is going and fighting back. Alex Moore, Jean Jans van Rensburg, Werner Swart, Mark Heron, Byron Mitchell, Luka Logovic, and many, many more. Tianas Buerta saying, good to hear the voice. Well, it's good to be back, Tianas. It's been far too long, and I missed my Raceface family hugely. You have no idea. So apologies for being gone, but I am back, and I'm going to be giving you everything that I can. And, well, you guys are the legends out there, and we're looking forward to seeing many, many more racing. So keep an eye out. Tianas Buerta, one of our drivers, are out on Assetto Corsa Competizione, going to be racing tomorrow night and also on Thursday for the Raceface.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship. One of our pro drivers and a very skilled fighter on the track. So Tianas, glad to see you in the virtual grandstand, but good to see you going to be out on the track. Let's take a look at our championship for the current standings, and it's that is our pro-ams. Do apologize. Let's take a look at our pros. There we go. Troy Dolanchik out in first place with Wolfgang Weiss in second. Only 3 points separating the two of them. Luke Lucchesi running in third, followed by Ryan Ottens on 361 points. Sean Stradham, Jurian Pisot, Jean Jans van Rensburg, Paul Herber, Alex Moore, Mark Heron, Luka Logovic, Noah Hendricks, René Dresner, Florian Klenner, along with Peter Meyer. A little bit further down, Werner Swart, Yasamai, and Ricardo Rivera will go and fight it out for the top running order. Now, can tell you straight out, been on track with all the drivers, and it was insane. The times, the 144s are exactly what you've been seeing are their race times. 144s, 145s here at Watkins Glen, and the drivers really do stand on it. I've tried catching up, I've tried pushing through, only could do 147s compared to these drivers that are literally on the ragged edge through the bus stop, and many drivers can tell you that is not an easy thing to do. I mean, even Tianas Buerta can say for a fact to hang on that brutal edge right into the wire, into the bus stop is no easy feat as you go fourth gear over the curb, bounce it around, and just standing on the throttle all the way through, feather it through on the long right-hander before you come in and slide your way out to the exit curb. It's just brutal. They got to keep an eye out on their tires, though. Remember, this is 2 heats that the drivers are going to have to do with a mandatory pit stop in both heats. So that is going to be the difficult run. Wolfgang Weiss currently waiting to get himself on track and going for the race. Ryan Ottens going to be back onto the track, having a bit of fun there. Luke Lucchesi pushing out the boundaries, running out a little bit wide, and unfortunately that is going to cost him a fair amount of time, so he's got to be well aware of the situation. A couple of people are also going to be trying to figure out the boundaries of that final corner. How far can they go out before clipping the wall? As we've seen quite a few just go and run a tad out. So keep an eye on it. Luke Lucchesi running in third, Ryan Ottens in fourth. Sean Stradham is running in sixth place. Noah Hendricks and Luka Logovic going to be battling it out. René Dresner, Jason Coetzee returning back with the RDSA Chevrolet, and he is properly giving it horns with Niall Bullion chasing him down. Cameron Bastos out there in the Audi R8 GT3 Evo 2, and he is going to be joined up by Florian Klenner. in the Mercedes, busy hopscotch in the way. Jean Jans van Rensburg, yes, and my Alex Moore is powering his way through. Paul Gerber trying to make up some time, and he's in full support with Werner Swart of Alton Carbon, Mark Heron, and Jaco van der Lith rounding out our field, but hasn't set a time on the board. Mark Heron trying to get a little bit more pace underneath him. Can't quite do it as yet. Yuri Swart still with the fastest lap time on the board. 300ths of a second faster than Byron Mitchell with that 1:44.056. He's trying to make it a bit better this time round. Unfortunately, it looks like he is not going to be able to do that, and the drivers will have to bear that in mind. So, what I am going to ask is for our moderators to just go and put a live timing, and I think you can quite enjoy this, a little bit of live timing that you can use out on your tablets, on your computers, on your phones, that you are able to see all the live timing as it's brought to you by SDK, and also put it to exactly where you feel that it's best for you to see. It's quite handy to have, and a big shout out to all our sponsors for making it happen. Byron Mitchell currently running in second place. Is he a little bit quicker this time around? Qualifying running out. Uriel Bissot still top of the charts. Byron Mitchell giving it horns. Gonna come across the line and just couldn't quite get it. The 1:44.39. Cameron Bastos trying to get a little bit more pace underneath him and fighting his way out as they battle their way around. And Original Montaleni saying, can't find the server where to join. Unfortunately, I think the servers may have been closed for the joining during qualifying. So just keep an eye out on SimGrid for the next ones. They go up at 8:30 every time. All right, well, let's take a look to our grid, folks, because we got Yuri Swart of Durant Motorsport out in first place. Byron Mitchell in second. Luke Lucchesi, Wolfgang Weiss, Ryan Otten, Sean Stradham, Noah Hendricks, Jason Kutsi, Luka Logovic, Rene Dresner, Werner Swart, Niall Bouillon going and fighting it out. And that is our top 12. Let's move a little bit further down, though. We have got Cameron Bastos, Florian Killer, along with Jean Jans van Rensburg, Yaz Hamai, Alex Moore, Paul Gerber, Mark Heron, and Jaco van der Lith going and writing it out. So this is going to be a proper run. And now our drivers lining up on the line, getting ready to go. All eyes are going to be set on this McLaren right here. Urium P. Swart in the bright Taco bell. You can hear the bell ring as our drivers get ready to go. Byron Mitchell in second place will look to try and get an early jump off the line and look to power his way through to the sharp end of the pack with Luke Lucchesi and Wolfgang Weiss. Now remember, the championship as it stands, folks, heading into this round for our pros. Troy Dolanchik leads out the pack. Unfortunately, is not on the grid. Wolfgang Weiss is in second place. He has every opportunity to go and move his way up through the order. He's only 3 points off Troy Dolanchik, so he's going to give it everything he's got. Luke Lucchesi is running at 390 points, can score big here tonight, and looking to really stand on top of the charts. Ryan Otten's also lying in fourth place, can score big to move his way up. At the moment, the likes of Uriam Swart and Byron Mitchell are the two unknowns. They're a little bit further down in the championship. Unfortunately, not going to have an easy time here, as our top 18 are looking to really stand on the charts and move forward. So it's going to be a difficult one for many of our drivers, as it's a slow pull-off to get themselves off the line and behind the safety car. Safety car is going to be sitting at about 85 kilometers an hour. This gives the cars enough time to go and utilize a few methods to warm up the tires. There's actually 3 stages of warming up a tire, and this even goes into real motorsport. So a couple of things for all those handy dandy drivers that are using slicks. For those that are using semis, you can use it, but not really for slicks. Better ones. So first things first, a little bit of brake drag. What that does is you go and sit on your brake for a little bit, slow the car down, and it goes and generates heat into the brake pads, into the brake disc, that soaks into the entire rim, heats up the carcass of the tire, so it gives it a perfect heat in terms of the round. Then you start going and utilizing friction in terms of movement, that left to right. That starts getting it ready for the track and the undulations of the track. You start going and changing the tire, shaping the tire, if one would say. Because now that's built up a bit of heat, the rubber becomes like Play-Doh, and you start to shape the tire so that moving left to right becomes a story to tell. After that, you come off the brake, give it a quick accelerate, brake, accelerate, brake, accelerate, brake, just to give it that final little bit, and you're making sure that you're also getting enough airflow so it doesn't go and land up with too much of a problem, and then you get yourselves going with your race. So a couple of different methods can be used to heat up the tires and work your way through. So something to keep an eye out for, but what we're going to keep an eye out for is 19 drivers have set to take the stage here tonight, and with the race looking the way it is, this is our Pro Division. We do have our Pro-Am Division running simultaneously at the moment. They're also looking to really get off the ball and get racing. So, lights are on, everyone's ready to go. A couple of drivers going and sending in their regards. One of them, Jan Price, going and saying unfortunately out of the car because he's not feeling well, and that's why he's going to be sitting in the grandstands and supporting his fellow teammates in the race of Team Heap Together. So, drivers making their way through Watkins Glen, round 4, heat 1. It's all going to come alive, it's all going to come unglued. Heading here at the bowl, welcome to Raceface.Pro, welcome to iRacing, and welcome to the GT3 Pro Division of iRacing. Yuri Swart, Byron Mitchell lined up side by side, friends and foes. Luke Lucchese lined up to chase down the two Durant Motorsports, with Wolfgang Weiss looking to be the new champion here for the GT3s. Lined up, lights on, and away we go racing as all go charging down, heading towards turn 1. Hard on the brakes, down into third gear. Yuri Swart keeping the momentum. Byron Mitchell stuck on the outside, runs out wide, and Luke Lucchese trying to get the inside look, with Ryan Ottens chasing down, hoping to split them down the middle. Wolfgang Weiss immediately gets across the nose, gets around, and he's now stuck into this 5-car formation. Looking on the outside, switches to the middle, trying to figure out where he can go side by side for Byron Mitchell and Yuri Swart into the bus stop. And they are going to make it still side by side. Couple of cars going off. Luke Lucchese long since out of the path, and he is out and out. He is gone out of there. It is Byron Mitchell, Yuri Swart, and now Wolfgang looking up on the inside for the NJB. NJB up on the inside, gets a run, really clawing their way through, gets on past Yuri Swart. Ryan Ottens on the immediate defense of Jason Coetzee, who looks around the outside, switches back, looks for the inside line. That Chevrolet not backing down. Behind them, Jason Coetzee is seeing Noah Hendrick fighting it out with the logistical nightmare racing of Sean Stradham, who is now dragging it down to the wire. Looks around the outside with the Audi R8, going to carry a lot of momentum. He can run up very, very wide and will have a run into the left-hander. Hard on the brakes, gets it in and gets past Noah Hendricks, who's going to try and battle it out. Ryan Ottens loses out the momentum to Jason Coetzee as the grid starts to make their way through. Luke Lucchese rejoining on the back of the field, as we do see Yuri Swart getting a little bit sideways, coming off the curb and battling to hold that McLaren steady as they come across to complete their first lap. Wolfgang Weiss going and charging their way through. 2 cars in the back, Werner Swartz and Luke Lucchese. Wolfgang Weiss under braking, gets it hooked in with the Porsche, carries a lot of momentum through turn 1 and holds first place ahead of Byron Mitchell and Yuri Swart. So the driver now needing to really go and push as hard as he can, holds the inside line as they come charging their way through, and holds to try go and defend Yuri on P-Swat, Byron Mitchell trying to figure out where they can go. Yuri actually moving left to right, trying to fill the mirrors of both drivers, unable to do so, and that has dropped him back quite a bit, and also caused the likes of Byron Mitchell to get unsteady. Jason could see immediately onto the back of him, looks to try and go up for the inside. Ryan Ottens charging on behind, keeps it all in go. Sean Stratham in the mix there. Noah Hendricks dealing with Luka Logovic. René Dresner onto the back of them. Then Big Train, Cameron Bastos, Niall Bullion, Alex Moore, Florian Klenner, along with Jean Jans van Rensburg, Yaz Samai, Paul Herber, Mark Heron, Werner Swart, and Luke Lucchese are exiting. They're trying to make up some time after that early pit stop to get themselves sorted. So trying to get that pit stop out of the way. And the trains are forming left and right here at Watkins Glen. But we are starting to see a few problems kicking up. One of them is actually Paul Herber. So what happened to Paul Herber here? Now, this is a bit of a slow replay to just show possibly where it all went wrong. And under braking, it looks like he may have got a bit squirrely. Yes, one of the asymmetric cars landing up into the accident. And that might have been Yaz Samai that he went into the side of and landed up with both cars getting hurt. So that was Yaz Samai and Paul Herber coming to blows, and unfortunately that takes them both out of the running. Byron Mitchell dealing with Yuri on P-Swat, fighting for second place. Hunting down, looks to go on the inside. Are the two Durant Motorsports going to work with one another, or they're going to find it out? Well, it's coming into the bus stop. Quick dab on the brakes. Yuri on P-Swat getting past, gets a little bit unsteady. Byron Mitchell tries to come back at him. Jason Coetzee doing everything he can to stay onto the back. But Wolfgang Weiss is opening up that lead by a second at the moment. He needs to carry a lot of momentum through. Ryan Otten's dealing with Sean Stratham, tries to run out a little bit wide, carry a lot of momentum through, but just can't get it all tucked in to fight it out as they battle their way around. Sean Stratham going and losing out a bit of time under braking. Couldn't quite get it all sorted out as he fights his way through, utilizing all the power in that V10. Luka Logovic trying to stay onto the back, has got Noah Hendricks and has got René Dresner on the back of him. So the NJB on the back of the asymmetric, onto the back of the ETA Autosport. And now it is Luka Logovic who's going to have to really keep it. So, sorry, this is the Power Wheels Racing. Power Wheels Racing, not the ETA Autosport. That is in a different class, actually. Luka Logovic, Noah Hendricks, and René Dresner fighting it out. Cameron Bastos keeping it just ahead of Alex Moore. And it looks like Florian Keller managed to get past the likes of Niall, but now has got a problem of Van Rensburg constantly on his tail. Switches to the inside, middle of the circuit, now outside. It's going to be difficult under braking, being on the side. Cameron Bastos trying to drag race into the corner. Couldn't quite get it all tucked in. Loses out a little bit of time. Alex Moore going to give it absolutely everything as they push as hard as they can. Alex Moore going and tailing onto everything he's got. And it's Cameron Bastos really trying to give it horns. Looks for the inside, can't get a pass. And here comes Jans van Rensburg round the outside. Going to carry a lot of momentum into bus stop, side by side. Cameron gets a little bit unsteady. That forces Jans van Rensburg to get off the throttle. Gets back on and chasing down. So this is absolutely coming unglued at the top end of the order. And Van Rensburg not backing down from the fight, has to actually go a little bit defensive as Florian Klenner goes around trying to get around the outside of him. Couldn't quite get it sorted out. Now Bullion going to give him a little bit of a look. He loses out time. Immediately loses out a bit of time to Mark Heron. So Mark Heron gets on by. So Mark Heron having an absolute great time out there, pushing as hard as he can. Back up towards the sharp end of the field is Wolfgang Weiss, who's got Yuri on P-Swat. Now Weiss, who did have that second gap, has lost a lot of time here. Yuri on P-Swat in the McLaren, starting to gauge that little bit of gap, closing it up quite quickly with Byron Mitchell going to be hanging on the tail. You can take a lot of the circuit, but you've got to be so cautious on the off tracks that can come out of it and force a mistake. Oh, a little bit of contact against the wall. Side touch for these cars, and you will pick up ever so slight damage on the left-hand side of the car that will take off some of that top end. And when I say a takeoff, some of it, you're looking about 5 kilometers difference, which you won't feel now. You'll feel it right now heading through turn 3, turn 4, through the S's. And so far, Jurien Pissoir has set the fastest lap time of the race. Immediately, Wolfgang Weiss having to go a little bit more defensive, holds that inside line, and Jurien Pissoir tries to hunt down the inside line, couldn't quite get it. Byron Mitchell puts his nose in, he's trying to get it past as quick as he can. Jurien Pissoir having to battle it out and change focus from Wolfgang to Byron Mitchell, his own teammate. And then Jason Coetzee of RDSA Esports, since the loss of Luke Picchesi, is dealing with the Alpha Esports 1 driver of Ryan Ottens, who immediately closes up on the gap, tries to take every advantage possible. Sean Stratham sitting in the wings though, don't count him out of the race as yet. Our drivers having to work on their tyres. Remember that mandatory pit stop will come into effect and change when the drivers are going to have to push that a little bit harder. So we're going to have to keep an eye on it. Luke Picchesi, Werner Swart, Paul Herbert, Yaz and Mike all have done a pit stop currently. Everyone else has not. And that is going to change it up for Heat 1, because remember, depending on when you come into the pits is going to be sorted out. For a lot of these drivers, they've gone half a tank of fuel. They haven't gone the full tank, because a full tank will make you run 49s, 48s quite easily. Well, Wolfgang Weiss deciding for an early pit usurps Jurien Pissoir, and Byron Mitchell now has the run on him, because Jurien Pissoir had to come off the throttle. Byron Mitchell gets the pass done and dusted and will carry a lot of momentum through. Let's see how he's going to be able to cope with that. And as we do see a little bit of back and forth with Ryan Ottens now closing up that gap as fast as possible, hoping that he can become a little bit more of an effective against the likes of Jason Coetzee around the outside. Couldn't quite get the run. He is going to try once again, carrying a lot of momentum this time around. And into the braking zone, carries a lot, third gear the whole way through, couldn't quite carry the fourth gear, holds it in third just to try and keep the run. Seeing the fight just ahead of him, Ryan Ottens is going to have to take a very big lunge if he wants to try and get the likes of Jason Coetzee off that apex and really get back into the fight. Jason Coetzee, on the other hand, is just watching his mirror, going and playing a more defensive game, not actually going on the attack of Jurien Pissoir ahead of him. He's going to just monitor it at the moment and see where he's going to fade into it. So definitely one to keep an eye out for. Yellow flags coming out though, and one of it is Niall Bouillon landing up with a bit of a problem. What happened to Niall Bouillon, who is behind Jens van Rensburg, just ahead of him? The Racing Snails, unfortunately, sideways moment and nearly contact with Noah Hendricks. Goes and stops it. Thankfully, no one hurt there. Was that Noah Hendricks or was that Mark Heron? That might have been Mark Heron. Yes, it was Mark Heron that had the evasive maneuver there. And the asymmetric driver going and surviving yet another day. Sean Stratham now into the pits for the Audi R8. And it's leaving the rest of the field to come and go. So this is going to change things up for Heat 1. Byron Mitchell going and running out a little bit wide. The sun starting to set, the track starting to cool. Becomes a little bit more of a problem of how much have these tires been worn down? How much have the fuel been worn down? How much is left in the tank? Well, the McLaren going and showing its supremacy down the straight. And Jurien Pissoir having no problem getting past Byron Mitchell, who I think gave a little bit of a lift there, knowing that he doesn't want to get into too much of a brawl with the fact of Jason Coetzee and Ryan Ottens are chasing each other down right behind him. So our top four all within a second of one another. Noah Hendricks trying to fight his way around, has got Dresner onto the back of him. The NJB team are really focusing on the charge. I think, if I'm right on this one, the NJB team is actually part of the top 100 teams in the world for the SimiCube GT3 Endurance Series. If I remember correctly, they are one of the top teams there that are fighting it out, and definitely good to see the guys coming and tackling it on South African soil. Florian Killer going and dealing with Mark Heron, who has been a cat with 9 lives at this point, trying to make up as much ground as possible. Cameron de Bastos fighting out against Paul Herber, and two drivers that know each other very, very well from way back in the world of Assetto Corsa Competizione. Well, Paul Herber chasing down Cameron de Bastos, looking to try and get any bit of momentum at the moment with that Porsche. Dresner now into the pits as well, as times start to drop off. 45s being the usual times for everyone. And now we will start to see who's got the usurp, and Wolfgang Weiss is betting on his cards at the moment, running in 13th position. He's got to get past the likes of Niall Bullion and a couple of others to be in effect, but Dresner, who's pulled into the pits, may be the next target to get past. Drivers having to really think outside the box here. Many trying to figure out what's going to work for them. Yurian Piswad out in first. Byron Mitchell in second place. Jason Coetzee with Ryan Ottens in tow, trying to make up some time. Luka Logovic running in fifth place. Noah Hendricks, Alex Moore going and chasing down John Jans van Rensburg. Mark Heron, Florin Killer really on the back of him, going and pushing as hard as he can onto the back of the Asymmetric Racing, who is properly on the charge to give it everything he's got. Then we have got Niall Bullion all the way out from the UK, and I've got to say, he was actually racing on Assetto Corsa Competizione last night, I would think, with Paul Fenter. And I'm stand to be corrected on that one as well, trying to do multi-sims. Wolfgang Weiss going and seeing whether his gamble is going to pay off. Going to have to try and make up a lot of time. Paul Herber still hanging on the back of Cameron de Bastos in through the bus stop. That Porsche having some serious legs onto the back of him. Looking left, looking right, can't quite get past as yet. The Team Try Hard driver really trying hard against the Team Heat Together driver of Cameron de Bastos. Alex Moore now into the pits as another one starting to serve it. Alex Moore, Mark Heron, Florin Keller all pulling into the pits, and that is going to be up to the winnings of Wolfgang Weiss as he sees Niall Bullion pulls into the pits, as we keep an eye on this side-by-side battle. Cameron de Bastos and Paul Herber side by side, charging their way through the Porsche, just having a little legs down the straight. Cameron trying to lift him off the apex, runs out a bit wide, and Paul Herber, utilizing a little bit closer to the track limits there, is able to carry a lot of momentum, and that has put him ahead. But now for Cameron, it's all about chasing down. Wolfgang Weiss, though, puts in the fastest lap time of the race on 1:44.861 as he tries to make up some more time to the rest of the field, shooting up ahead. Ryan Ottens onto the back of Jason Coetzee, trying to figure out where he can get the pass, where can he get the dive. Jason has had his number so far throughout this entire race, and it's going to have to be a big, big lunge on the inside to get it done and dusted. For Jason Coetzee, he's just going to keep it all sorted out as we jump onto the gearbox of Jason Coetzee, going and slamming it down the gears, up through the gears, dealing with the likes of Ryan Ottens on the back of him. Couldn't quite get the run. We'll have to try and figure out where is he going to lose Ryan Ottens, as both of them looking, eyeing out when are they going to dive into that pit lane, wanting to go and get ahead of one another. Luka Logovic now into the pits, Noah Hendricks into the pits. Will Jans van Rensburg dive into the pits? That is the question that will be on the mind. Whoa! Ryan Ottens, a huge snap as he came off circuit, and so did Jason Coetzee. Both of them on the threshold of what grip can be done, on the limits of adhesion, one would say, as they fight it out amongst one another, really pushing as hard as they can to really stand on the top of the charts here. Scoring major points is what's needed as they fight their way through. Jason Coetzee just keeping ahead of Ryan Ottens, nose to tail racing. Wolfgang Weiss gaining up into 6th place, now is needing to close up the gap to the likes of Yurian Piswat, Byron Mitchell, Jason Coetzee, and Ryan Ottens. And Ryan Ottens into the wall. Jason Coetzee went and pushed it a bit too hard. Ryan Ottens immediately slamming it into the wall. Damage to the right-hand side of that Ferrari, and he is gonna be hurting inside the car. That was not ideal. That, unfortunately, was a huge impact to the side of the car. So Ryan Otten's going to be suffering with it. He's going to actually get the car into the pits, I would think. You can see very, very lazy turning in as he's fighting to keep that car straight. Just battling to keep it going. Both Jason Coetzee and Ryan pushed it a fraction too far. And well, that was pretty much all she wrote. As now they're all pulling into the pits. And for that, a bit of repair work needs to be done. That being said, there is a bit of spares that these cars do have, and they will be able to chuck them on rather quickly to get themselves back up and running. So it shouldn't affect the pit stop too much in that respect. Jens van Rensburg now taking first place and showing off for the Slowpoke Racing, going a little bit later into the race. We do have a 30-minute race. Everyone's now pitted on 18 laps. He's going out that little bit further, hoping to open up the gap to Wolfgang Weiss, who now sees that Jurien Pissoir, Byron Mitchell, Ryan Ottens, and Jason Coetzee are all in the pits. Can he get the usurp here? He gets past down the straight, gains the time, and is up immediately. Is going to be joined by Byron Mitchell, Jason Coetzee, and Jurien Pissoir as they go and make their way out of the pit. So Wolfgang Weiss has got a little bit of a stretch. He's on older tires, and he's going to have to really make it count. So for Jens van Rensburg, he is in a bit of a tough time here to make up that little bit of time. Sean Stratham all over the back of Ryan Ottens, who I'm sure has got a little bit of a damage to the confidence, and when that car is going to let go underneath him. And Luke Lucchesi has also gained up a lot of time as well, as he is onto the back of Noah Hendricks, we saw in the back of the shot. But it's Sean Stratham onto the back of Ryan Ottens, looking for any way to get by. And remember that Ryan Ottens is on a colder set of tires, so he's going to have to try and maximize as much grip as possible. That understeer is starting to claw into effect as they fight their way through. Stratham immediately putting pressure and trying to see where on earth can he go and cause that little bit more of an issue for the likes of Ryan Ottens. So a big fight happening out there. Florian Kleder dealing with Mark Heron, who is all over the back of him, and just ahead Werner Swart in the Mustang, going and making up some time as he chases his way through. And Mark Heron hoping that he can keep on the back of Florian as much as possible. Werner Swart losing out a little bit of time due to that understeer. Now has Florian, looks on the inside, backs out of it, second guesses for the pass, and that will compromise a bit of straight line. Runs out a little bit too tight, and that is going to cost him a bit of time. Jens van Rensburg now into the pits, and that is going to allow the rest of the field to start pushing that a little bit harder to gain a bit more time. So now it is an ultimate push for a lot of these drivers in the final 10 minutes of the race. Wolfgang Weiss leading out the charge. Jurien Pissoir, Byron Mitchell running in second and third place, with Jason Coetzee running in for fifth place. Ryan Ottens, and as he tries to make up some time, Sean Stratham, Luka Logovic running in seventh. Eighth is Luke Lucchesi. And if we remember, Luke Lucchesi at the start of the race landed up off into the distance at bus stop. He's now made up a significant amount of time, got himself into eighth, but is getting pushed along by Noah Hendricks at the moment, who is not backing down from the fight. And Luke Lucchesi is going to have to be very cautious of this and realize, okay, well, Noah Hendricks is behind me. The type of driver he is a very defensive driver. I want to try and hold my inside line. I don't want him to get underneath me, and that will help out. So it's definitely working out the driver skills. Luke going out a little bit wide and sweeping the corners back in, minimizing the hurt on the tires. Remember, he's on the older set of tires currently, so he is now trying to stretch that out a little bit more to the rest of the field. It's going to be a difficult one for him to deal with, but it is a possibility. Well, Ryan Ottens immediately rejoins the fight with Jason Coetzee after dealing with Sean Stratham, gotten away from the Audi, and now looks to rejoin the battle of Jason Coetzee and Ryan Ottens. And I don't think both these drivers have forgotten of the fight that they had, as Ryan Ottens, scratches the wall on the way through, going and hurting the car, and that is going to take out some of the drive. Wolfgang Weiss, on the other hand, watching his mirrors as he is completely getting pulled up with the likes of that McLaren. Jurien Pissoir you can see sitting in all three of the mirrors at the moment. The center mirror has got him. The camera on the back has got him. Both side mirrors have got him, and so far it's going to be McLaren straight lining it around the outside, tries to cut round side by side through the bus stop. Wolfgang not backing out of the fight, still continues to sit on the rear quarter, now trying to push as hard as he can, and Jurien Pissoit squeezing him out, allowing for a little bit more drive, and that has opened it up for him to break away. And immediately Byron Mitchell, smelling blood in the water, goes after the back of Wolfgang Weiss. Jurien Pissoit and Byron Mitchell are not fighting for the top of the championship, but they can lay the pain to Wolfgang Weiss immediately if he continues to lose positions. Then we've got Jason Coetzee, who's dealing with Ryan Ottens onto the back of him. Ryan Ottens looking to try and get past, can't quite get him under braking, really doing everything he can to just step it up that little bit. And Sean Stratham going and putting a wheel on the dirt, losing out that little bit of time as well. So drivers are having to work out this last little bit, see where they can go. The sun's starting to set. Is that starting to become a problem? How many times can they go off track before they run into a few issues? So far, though, it's been pretty clean in terms of the off tracks. Jurien Pissoit with 0 off tracks, Wolfgang Weiss with 1, and Byron Mitchell with a send up on the inside. Going to carry a lot of momentum, forces Wolfgang Weiss over the curve. That is going to kill off a lot of drive. They go through the S's though, not backing down from the flight. It is going to be Porsche versus Audi side by side. Down the straightaway they go. The V10 is going to be screaming its guts out and doing everything it can. Wolfgang Weiss with the Porsche, going to carry a lot of momentum down the straights. Unfortunately, not enough. And that gives Byron Mitchell that a fraction, little bit more of a push to carry it towards the top end of the field. All have done their pit stops, and all are now into the final stages of this very first heat for our Pro Division for the Raceface.Pro Iracing GT3 Sprint Series. And it's been absolutely incredible to start it off the bat. Jason Coetzee and Ryan Otten still fighting it out. Sean Stratham onto the back of them. Luka Logovic in a bit of no man's land. Luke Kerzi dealing with Noah Hendricks, keeping a bit of pressure on him. Dresner keeping ahead of Alex Moore, with Jans van Rensburg down in 12th. Took a gamble, didn't quite work out. Werner Swart keeping ahead of Florin Killen and the lights of Mark Heron, with Cameron de Bastos trying to make up some time. He's got Niall Bullion all over the back of him in the Lamborghini. Yaz Samai trying to make up some time. He's sporting a little bit of damage on the Audi. Paul Gerber a little bit further back, and as he tries to make his way through, last of the runners as they make their way around. Niall trying to go around the outside of Cameron de Bastos. Couldn't quite get it sorted. Tries to go for an undercut. Not able to do it. Cameron, middle of the circuit, cuts across. Defends the line. And Niall having to back off, the gentleman driver, going and having a bit of fun out there. And Niall does describe himself as the bronze driver of the team, but the gentleman driver of the team. And that is, well, very dependent, because Lee Bullion, his father, really does take up that mantle quite a bit. So the young gun does go and keep ahead of his father that races in Pro-Am, but does say he is a bit of a bronze driver at the moment. But that's at the moment, definitely not top of the pile for the Logistical Nightmare Racing team, whereas we do see the Alpha 1 esports driver Ryan Ottens onto the back of the RDSA esports driver Jason Coetzee as they try and get away from one another. Wolfgang Weiss down into third place, losing out a little bit of time to the likes of Byron Mitchell. Jurien Pissoit, unfortunately, not having as much life in the tires, has taken out a lot of that sting that he needed for the start of the race. The undercut, unfortunately, didn't quite work out in his favor. So the fourth and fifth, they are still close to one another. Sean Stratham hanging in the mix though, waiting for an opportunity to get on by as they fight their way through. Alex Moore a little bit further back though, is closing up to René Dresner, trying to make up some time, and is also been an interesting climb for the young driver, improving race after race here at Raceface.Pro. Mark Heron battling against Werner Swart in the Mustang, the very lonely Mustang, and Mark Heron getting a little bit too much speed through the corner, does clip the wall, and that is going to allow the Altered Carbon Racing Werner Swart to start opening it up, and does know he can push a little bit harder, really lean onto the tires. Never mind, he goes into the wall as well. That's going to take out a serious amount of bite out of his drive. So, as we do see the likes of Niall following Cameron to the corners of the track. Cameron trying to defend that inside line, going 200 meters down into the gears, second gear, and get onto the power. He's lost out a little bit of drive though. Niall's going to try go around the outside. Can't quite get the momentum enough for him to work out there, but it's going to follow through the S's. Cameron Bastos needing to really figure out what can work out here, as the likes of Niall Bouillon going to keep the pressure up and really focus on the charge all the way through, as the Lamborghini driver tries to carry a lot of momentum. Fourth gear through the bus stop, jumping over the curbs, high fourth, just to bring it through, down into third on the rev limiter, as we do see a very slow, and that was Paul Kerber. And that was Werner Swart. Werner Swart, unfortunately, landing up with a bit of a problem. Let's actually try and find out. That's Werner Swart, so he clipped the wall coming out of the bus stop, and that was all she wrote for Werner Swart. So here he goes. Unfortunate. Clipped the exit, and unfortunately the Mustang bent its nose on the way through. So definitely not an easy time out there, and unfortunately another driver lost out to the bus stop, smashing the front suspension against the wall. Yuri Umpiswad in first place, Byron Mitchell keeping ahead of Wolfgang Weiss, Jason Coetzee opening up the gap to Ryan Otten, Sean Stratham lying in sixth place, Luka Logovic along with Luke Lucchesi, Noah Hendricks trying to make up some time as well. Dresner hoping to get a little bit onto the back, with the likes of Alex Moore keeping the pressure onto the back of him, trying to throw him off guard at the moment, as we still see a close battle as the flags come out for the final time, and Niall going around the outside, taking a lot of advantage out of Cameron Bastos. Will get his nose ahead. Cameron's going to try and keep him in the middle though, and really focus on the charge. Can't go through into the toe, pulling each other along, really fighting their way through, not able to get a lot of momentum. Niall very defensive to the inside line. He's going to hold it though. Cameron's going to try and swap around. Can't get the momentum into the bus stop and focus on the charge. But we're going to keep an eye out towards the sharp end of the field. Jason Coetzee and Ryan Otten's fighting it out for fourth and fifth, with them both going out wide. Wolfgang Weiss all over the back of Byron Mitchell now in the closing stages. Can he push it a fraction more? Two more corners to get it done. Wolfgang Weiss trying to carry a lot of momentum. Too much momentum into the corner. Unfortunately, that's not going to work out for him. He's going to have to be content with that third place. Yuri Umpiswad taking the win. Byron Mitchell, Wolfgang Weiss, Jason Coetzee ahead of Ryan Ottens as they come across the line. Sean Stratham, followed by Luka Logovic. Luke Lucchesi has come across the line in 8th place. What a run for him. Noah Hendricks goes and comes across the line. Dresner followed by Alex Moore and Janssen van Rensburg. Klenner getting the run, with Mark Heron trying to chase him down. Cameron Bastos ahead of Niall Bouillon as they fight their way through. And, Cameron Bastos actually got past Niall right at the loss, but it was a big loss, actually. What happened there? Niall lost it! And that was all she wrote for the Lamborghini. Niall lost it, and Cameron said thank you very much. I was wondering why that gap was so big. Well, Niall did everything he could to fight it out. Yaz Samai, gotta take your hat off, does come across the line and will get across for the Asymmetric Racing team. Well done, Yaz. Proud of you, buddy. Absolutely proud of you. Unfortunately, Werner Swart, Paul Gerber, unable to finish the race, both landing up with failure, and Jaco van der Lith, unfortunately, not making it to the grid. Well, that was quite a race, folks, for Heat 1, and lots happened during the course of it. So, Let's take a look at our results during the course of our warm-up at the moment. So, Yurian Pissoir takes a win, 3.6 seconds ahead of Byron Mitchell, Wolfgang Weiss, followed by Jason Coetzee, Ryan Otton, Sean Stratham, Luca Logovic, Luke Lucchesi, Noah Hendricks, René Dresner, Alex Moore, Jean Jans van Rensburg, Florian Kletter, along with Mark Aaron, Cameron de Bastos, Niall Bulligan, Yaz Amai, and Werner Swart in 18th position. Moving a little bit further down from there, Paul Herber in 19th, and Jaco van der Lith, who unfortunately did not start the race. Well, that is currently our Heat 1 results, and what does that mean for the points? So we're going to have to keep an eye out, because remember, there is 2 drop rounds this season for the Raceface.Pro iRacing GT3 Sprint Series, and the 2 drop rounds, you drop your worst set of rounds. So your worst scoring points during the season, that drops out, allows you to maximize as many points as possible. So for those that haven't pitched up to the races, your drop rounds would be the ones that you haven't pitched up to the race. And for those that have had poor races, well, that's where your drop rounds will fall. But so far, Watkins Glen has given it all. But that was only Heat 1, folks. We're going to be moving on to Heat 2 coming up shortly, with our drivers ready to have a huge amount of fun, ready to rock and roll here at Raceface.Pro. And with so much coming up this week as well, we have got the Raceface.Pro GT3 Sprint Series on Assetto Corsa Competizione. That's the Raceface.Pro GT iRacing. It's the Raceface.Pro PokerBet GT3 Sprint Series on Assetto Corsa Competizione, round 3 happening tomorrow. Don't miss that one. That's starting at 10 past 8. Then on Thursday, we got the Raceface.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship, also 10 past 8. Going to be streaming both Pro and Pro-Am. Don't miss that. That's coming out on Thursday as well. So lots and lots of racing coming up here at Raceface.Pro. We're also going and having a bit of fun for those that want to go and see a lot of interesting action out on the track. Well, definitely keep an eye out. There's at the Raceface.Pro. There's a website, and you can go and join up for Assetto Corsa Competizione for the virtual 9 hours of Kailami. Now, for those that are wondering what on earth that is, well, it's a virtual 9 hours of Kailami, as it says in the name, and that is also being backed officially by the South African Endurance Series. Make sure you join on with it as well and be a part of it. We're going for a big, big record. So, what the plan is, let's let you know. You're going to have a rig at the track. So you're physically going to bring your sim rig to the track at Kailami and race in parallel to the actual 9 hours of Kailami happening on the 30th of November. With one rig, you're going to share with multiple different drivers of your team. So 3 drivers share one rig. You get to swap in and out like you do. And that is all going to be live streamed as well, with the South African Endurance Series going for the Guinness World Record of 50 rigs running simultaneously in a LAN configuration at Kailami. Yes, Guinness World Record, definitely something you want to join. That is going to be on Assetto Corsa Competizione. Look at our Discord, and down below in the description, join up with us here at Raceface.Pro and be a part of the big movement happening at the South African Endurance Series, happening out on the 30th of November. You also see the very big names that are out here that are racing in iRacing, racing in the physical race itself. So lots going on, lots of interesting stuff, and wow, lots of racing this month here in November. Got to say, absolutely excited for it. Glad to see so many more. Looking forward to having a bit of fun out here at the world of iRacing, Assetto Corsa Competizione, pretty much everywhere. Also, like to mention that the November event is an MSA event as well. So, not only that you're going to be in the South African Endurance Series in the virtual 9 hours of Kailami, there is an MSA event, and there's also a prize pool of 100,000 Rand, I think it is, on the cards as well. And that also gets put out to Supersport. So a lot going out there. Definitely want to take a look out if you're out in the Gauteng region and close to Kailami. and entry fees, only 500 Rand for that. Well, with that being said, let's take a look heading into race 2 of the iRacing GT3 Sprint Series Pro Division, and we're going to be having a bit of fun, but this time we're taking our top 5, yes, you heard me, the top 5, and reversing them. So we're going to take our top 5, swap them around, put them on the grid, and it's going to be a little bit more different to what you usually see. Ryan Otten's at the top of the pack. We'll have Jason Coetzee going and lining up side by side, so these two will hold the front row and will be able to get a bit of a fight to one another. Second place, Jason Coetzee is going to have the run on the outside, so he's going to have a little bit of an advantage if he can get the sweep in. Wolfgang Weiss running in third, stuck in the middle, has got Byron Mitchell and Urion Pissoir chasing him down. Sean Stratham running in 6th place is now looking at the very same two that ran away from him at the start and hoping that he can get the jump. Luca Logovic, Luke Lucchesi, Noah Hendricks, René Jesner, Alex Moore, Sean Jans van Rensburg, Florian Killen, along with Mark Heron, Cameron Bastos, Niall Bullion, the ASMI, Werner Swart and Paul Kerber are rounding out our field. Jaco van der Lith, unfortunately, not making it to the grid yet again, losing out valuable points. Well, as our drivers get going, Ryan Ottens and Jason Coetzee holding the front row. Not their first time this season, these two have gone and sat at the front end of the field, but they will look to take the fight to one another and hoping to really chase it down towards the top end of the order. Going to be an exciting one, going to be a difficult one for our drivers, and lots of questions of who's going to be able to get the run and scoring enough points for this season here at the Raceface.Pro iRacing Sprint Series. We also, coming up in December, make sure you head over to SimGrid, look up Raceface.Pro. We do have an endurance race for you iRacing fans as well. Don't worry, we haven't lost the racing spirit for the iRacing side. There is an endurance race coming up, and that is not to be missed. It's Raceface.Pro and Masters Series joining up together for the 8 Hours of Japan. Yes, you heard me right. The Raceface.Pro and Masters Series will lock horns together to have the first endurance race that is joined simultaneously by 2 South African series, the 8 Hours of Japan. That is coming up in December. Head over to SimGrid and join up with it as well. Going to be exciting, going to be fun, going to be a wild one. How's that for a bit of an interesting one to go and say? And I do think the man that's going to be behind the broadcast is going to be your very own Gary Fleming of Second Gear Productions. He is one of the top guys that will be keeping an eye on it. This is round 5 of our series here at Watkins Glen. And now we will be fighting it out with only one more round after this, being the Sebring International Raceway. So don't go anywhere, folks. This is going to be a bit of a wild one for our drivers, looking to push the boundaries of what they can do. Ryan Ottens and Jason Coetzee going and lining up. Wolfgang Weiss, though, looking to score points. Now, remember, Byron Mitchell, Urion Pissoir are behind him. If he can keep them behind, he can try and go on the attack, knowing that Ryan Ottens and Jason Coetzee will keep each other busy. But in turn, they can keep him very busy of putting him behind, because these two are looking to square off against one another, haven't forgotten about what has happened, and they will continue to push that a little bit harder, that little bit further, and see where they get the run. So this is going to be a bit of a challenging time. And who is going to be able to stand at the top? Well, we're about to find out for Heat 2 of the Raceface.Pro GT3 iRacing in Sprint Series. And so far, Ryan Ottens, Jason Coetzee lined up. Safety car going to be moving off. Dives off as of right now. And the car's slowing up. Ryan Ottens dictating the pace, waiting for the green, waiting for the green, waiting for the green. And away we go, racing, standing on the gas with Jason Coetzee trying to hunt him down, and everyone filing in behind. Wolfgang Weiss immediately on the attack. trying to get underneath. Oh, he loses the car, loses a grip, catches out, and that was Luka Lagovic that got caught. Luka Lagovic goes off, and he is off into the weeds. Unfortunately, getting caught on the tail there. Niall coming out of the pits, avoiding all the trouble. So Wolfgang Weiss, a little too excited, a little too much of a push. Unfortunately, hooks the curb, bounces the car up onto the bump stops, slides it out, and that has gone and cost him a huge amount of time. Ryan Ottens and Jason Coetzee going to war with one another. Oh, a little bit of contact between the two. Not too much, though, to lose out the drive, but has got Byron Mitchell in the fray. Looks to go around the outside. The Audi R8 to Run Motorsport pushes to try and get by and squares up against the likes of Jason Coetzee. He gets past and now looks at Ryan Ottens, who's trying to get that car back in order. Yuri Swart has closed up the gap immediately. Sean Stratham has got Luke Lucchese onto the back of him, and Luke Lucchese is going to try and make a quick look to get by. A little bit further back, Alex Moore trying to get on the attack of Cameron de Bastos. He tried to get past, couldn't quite get it all hooked in. Lose a bit of the drive. Yes, am I going to close up? Werner Swart getting absolutely swamped by Paul Gerber and Florian Killen at the moment. Two runs out a little bit wide. Werner Swart loses out a little bit of drive. Paul Gerber up on the inside. Can he carry the momentum? Goes side by side. The Porsche and the Mustang. He goes and turns in a little bit too much there. That's going to take out a lot of drive. Opens up the door though and runs out a bit wide immediately. Looking to try and go for that pass. Sean Stratham and Van Rensburg into the pits to try and get themselves sorted. But Kellen locking horns with Werner Swart. A little bit of a tag between the two. Wolfgang Weiss goes around the outside of the likes of Werner Swart, but just can't carry as much momentum through. Lost out that little bit of drive, hunting down, trying to recover after a bit of a start for him as he tries to hunt down and seeing his teammate Klena going and fighting it out with Paul Gerber literally to the fringes of the circuit, and Florian not backing down from the fight, really digging his teeth in to get into the attack with Paul Gerber as they fight their way through. Jason Coetzee dealing with Yuri Swart as they fight it out, as we do see Ryan Ottens starting to stretch open the gap a little bit more ahead as he deals with Byron Mitchell. But Jason Coetzee and Yuri Swart going and slugging it out, battling, locking horns. Yuri Swart looks up on the inside, going to carry a lot of momentum through, hard on the brakes, gets the pass done. Jason Coetzee tries to go for the undercut on him, can't quite get the drive on the Chev, switches around, switches back, getting a little bit excitable there, and now losing out the drive will allow Luke Lucchese. And remember, Luke had a very poor run in the start of Heat 1, made it up to 8th, and now is up into 5th place on the chart. Dresner dealing with the likes of Mark Heron and his fellow teammate with the likes of Noah Hendricks on the back. So the two asymmetric drivers are going to be talking to one another, saying, all right, how are we going to get past the likes of Rene ahead of us? Cameron de Bastos dealing with Alex Moore. Alex trying to hunt down that inside line, not able to get the run, runs out a bit wide, and immediately tries to come across the nose of Yasemai, who's keeping a very close eye on this battle. Cameron de Bastos losing a little bit of time, has got Alex Moore hunting down, looks the inside, trying to go around the outside, and oh, a turnaround! Cameron de Bastos getting turned, and that immediately clips the back of Alex Moore. Unfortunately, both pushing a fraction too hard and both landing up with a bit of an impact. That was a big off for both drivers. As we take a look to see how the fight goes, it was a swap. This was a little bit early on in the race to go for the pass, and Alex Moore still trying to make his way around. That was not the impact though. I'm going to try and find back. That was when he hit the wall. So I want to see exactly when these two came to blows. It's off track. Unfortunately, just can't find that live action. But unfortunately, that landed up with a huge smack to both cars. Back up to the running order, though. And it's Ryan Ottens and Byron Mitchell fighting it out. Ryan Ottens trying to defend against Byron Mitchell, who's putting in those absolutely blistering lap times on the way through. And Ryan Ottens dealing with the likes of Byron Mitchell at the moment. Byron hoping to lay down the pressure and really battle it out. The Durant Motorsport driver has done really well in the world of single-seaters, and down in Killarney has done really well with the Formula Volkswagen, racing in the Libra class, but now is battling with a former ACC champion, multiple ACC champion of Ryan Ottens, as we do see Jason Coetzee getting a pass on Luke Lucchese. Yuri Swart is dropping down the order. He actually's got a bit of damage on the car, and that, unfortunately, was Yuri Swart. Lost it, spins it round, and lands up also getting hurt as well. So Yuri Swart, unfortunately, I think lost it a little bit further on and landed up with a few bit of problems. And unfortunately, we're just missing out on that action. So not ideal times out for some of the cars. So far, though, Ryan Ottens and Byron Mitchell going and pushing each other that little bit harder. Yuri Swart now into the pits. Cameron Bastos has done his pit stop. Luka Logovic, and I think that was for the damage. Wolfgang Weiss has also changed for his tyres after the spin, fighting it out. Ryan Ottens, Byron Mitchell will battle their way through, and Byron's not backing down from the fight. He's immediately into the tow, pulling himself along down the straightaway, and just not getting the run on that Ferrari 296, but it's going to start forcing Ryan Ottens into a mistake on the way through. Jason Coetzee of the RDSA Esports getting told from behind by Luke Lucchese of RDSA Pantera Racing. Listen, let's focus on the push here. Let's get ourselves a bit closer to the sharp end of the field and open up the gap behind us to ensure that we're in a safe zone here. So just work with one another as they fight their way through. Ryan Ottens having to get very defensive, holding inside lines, really trying to keep Byron Mitchell at bay. Can't quite get the drive that he wants out of the corners to keep Byron Mitchell right behind, further behind him at this point. He just goes and breaks a fraction too late into the corners, and that is just trying to carry as much momentum to stop any impending attacks from Byron Mitchell, who goes and waits it out, looks for a slingshot approach, and unfortunately just not getting that run onto Ryan Ottens. And keeps trying the look though, and now lost out a little bit too much drive, going and attacking once too many times before. The tyres are going to have that drop-off period. He's going to have to let it cool down and focus on bringing on to the attack, but got to be aware that the two RDSA, Jason Coetzee and Luke Lucchese, are going to try and close up the gap. Then we have got René Dresner, Noah Hendricks is getting followed by Mark Heron at the moment. The two of them are going and pulling each other along, having no problem there. Yaz Samai, who has got Paul Herber onto the back of him. So Paul Herber is looking to put himself into an attacking run onto the back of Yaz Samai, and Yaz is on a monster run at the moment, trying to make up for Heat 1, where unfortunately a bit of damage to the car went and slowed him down quite significantly and took him right out of the running. So he is on a bit of a climb. Paul Herber, though, who is on the charge, is trying to make up that gap, and my heavens, yeah, so went flying off the circuit that he had to get his passport checked on the way through here at Watkins Glen for that turn 1. That's lost him a bit of time. Warren Keller a little bit further back, along with Werner Swap, dealing with Niall Bullion. Sean Stratham trying to make up some time, and he is one of the drivers that pitted a bit early. Remember, Niall and Sean pitted early to get away from any troubles that could have happened. Yellow flags coming up for the likes of Yuri Swart, and this is over the curbs. Did the rear snap again? No, just came to a stop, and that was pretty much that. So unfortunately, something went on with Yuri Swart's car, and as he tried to get it back out and racing once again, unfortunately, not to be the case, and losing out a bit of time. Wolfgang Weiss fighting out with Van Rensburg in the back, and one of our closest fights actually out on track, but is at the back of the field. Van Rensburg trying to fight it out with Wolfgang Weiss as they switch around, come to the bus stop. Big jump off the Porsche as it leaps over the curbs like a frog out of water, having a huge amount of fun out there, and puts in a monster gap almost immediately on that charge. So brilliant pass, done and dusted. Well, it's all going to be on. As you see Ryan Ottens and Byron Mitchell once again chasing each other down. Luke Lucchesi looking to go on the attack into the corner. Couldn't quite get it all hitched in. Maybe starting to get a little bit frustrated behind Jason Coetzee and saying, all right, buddy, now it's time for you to push a little bit harder. You're costing me a bit of time here, and let's get going. Yaz and Mai is into the pit, so Yaz is trying to get himself sorted out. Luke Lucchesi is not holding back anymore. So these two have squared it up, locking horns, no team orders having been said, and Luke Lucchesi gets the pass, jumps the curbs. Jason Coetzee, unfortunately, having to drop down behind, tries to get a little bit more of a drive, looks to get underneath him, couldn't quite get that drive, and now the Audi R8 is going to start stretching the legs on that VTEC. Jaden, Byron Mitchell and Ryan Ottens going and battling it out. Also quite interesting, the Ferrari 296 is a V6 turbo against the Audi R8 V10. That's absolutely shouting on the way through. And going and battling it out as they fighting it out. It's going to be a monster run. Ryan Ottens having to really keep it all together, jumps out wide and immediately to the fringes of the curbs, not able to get it sorted out, and just Byron Mitchell going and clawing, ripping at the throat of Ryan Ottens, and Ryan is not backing down from it. Sword and shield at heart, sideways and go. The Ferrari is galloping at this point. Byron is not backing down. Ryan's not backing down. Luke Lucchesi's opened the gap to Jason Coetzee. This is proper racing for first place, folks. And how long can these tires hold? So far, they have been fighting for the last 12 minutes of the race. Ryan Ottens opened up the gap early on, breaking away from Jason Coetzee, and Yurion P. Swart has dealt with Byron Mitchell for majority of it. Byron is not backing down. Ryan is showing exactly how to get his elbows out. Defending the inside line through the bus stop, bounces over the curbs, gets it all tucked around, and Byron Mitchell having to really get off the gas as he tried his luck on the way through. Not an easy time out there, and both drivers really giving it horns all the way through for Heat 2 of the Raceface.Pro, and really not going and easing up on one another. This is absolutely wonderful to see the guys go and fight it out, and the way that they're doing it is incredible as it stands. Anyone's game here who's going to be able to stand at the top end of the field is going to have to be a proper run. And so far, Byron Mitchell keeping ahead of Luke Lucchesi has got a lot of momentum. Let's see if they'll be able to work as they will continue on the race. But Luke Lucchesi is slower into Sector 1 than the two drivers ahead of him. But for Ryan Ottens, on the other hand, we take a look as he is a lot quicker in Sector 1, but Sector 2 and 3 is a problem. Sector 4 is an issue. He's, well, for the likes of Mitchell. So this is going to be an interesting one to see how they're going to work their way through. Ryan Ottens getting defensive around the outside, looks for the sweep. Byron Mitchell tried for the inside line, thought about it, second-guessed it, swung right. That lap, though, was a bit faster than Ryan Ottens, but not able to get that pass done and dusted as yet. So Ottens is just carrying enough momentum to carry on that little bit more pace as they fight their way through. Tim, our cameraman, fighting to keep these two in check on our cameras, and so far both leapfrogging, showing off what they can do. And Ryan Ottens holding Byron Mitchell at bay. Luke Lucchesi in third place has broken away from Jason Coetzee. Dresno running in fifth. Noah Hendricks, Mark Heron, along with Paul Herber, Niall Bullion a little bit further back has got Werner Swart, Sean Stratham chasing him down. Wolfgang Weiss going and making up a little bit of time. Van Rensburg ahead of Yasemai. Luka Logovic doing everything he can. Cameron Bastos in 16th position. Florian Keller in 17th. 18th is Yuri Swart, who's unfortunately out. Alex Moore's out. And that is the last of our running order as it stands. So definitely some interesting times. Fortunately, 2 cars out of the race. Alex Moore and Yuri Swart early on in this race. 15 minutes have gone by. And we saw when it hit the 18-minute mark, the first of the pit stops started coming in. Well, a little bit earlier this time. Are the drivers going to push a little bit later? Well, a sharp end of the field is not going to go into the pits. Ryan Ottens and Byron Mitchell keep it absolutely pinned, sliding the cars out wide, not gearing themselves for that pit entry, which is an absolute nightmare. But Dresner decides he's going to get into the pits along with Noah Hendricks. They both get into the pits. Paul Gerber's going to usurp them. The question is Niall Viljoen going to carry a little bit more momentum? Niall dives into the pits. He actually started in pit lane, fair enough. Werner Swart, though, is going to carry on the climb. So Werner Swart's going to keep going and now be that pack. So interesting to see how this is all going to work out as our leaders still fight it out amongst each other, with Luke Lucchesi now starting to close up the gap little by little to Ryan Ottens and Byron Mitchell as they still fight it out between one another, not backing down from the fight. So Byron Mitchell, sliding out, a little bit of a lazy slide on that traction control. Does save it, but that has cost him a significant amount of space to Ryan Ottens and closes up the gap to Luke Lucchesi, who's going to be quite happy about this. So Luke's going to be pushing to get a little bit more into the fight. Wolfgang Weiss onto the back of his teammate, Brad Dresner. So the NJB team are going to do a little bit of a swap round here. And I don't think, Dresner's not going to fight it out with Wolfgang Weiss, but doesn't want to lose out too much time. Tries to immediately get right back in, nearly into the back of Wolfgang Weiss, because he knows the threat of Noah Hendricks. The asymmetric drivers are doing everything they can, and these are 2 teams that have gone nose to tail with one another in the past and now continuing on. So Noah Hendricks is going to hopefully try and lean in a little bit more to the likes of Dresner as Byron Mitchell, Luke Lucchesi, and Jason Coetzee pulling into the pit, and that's going to leave Ryan Ottens on his lonesome. And that is going to be an interesting one. Mark Heron's into the pits. Is Paul Gerber? Yes, he is. Werner Swart, is he going to join them in the pits? I would say so, because it's going to have to be the case. He's going to pull in the pits, I would think, as we do see Noah Hendricks look on the inside. Can't get it, so Werner Swart actually deciding not to go into the pits. So Noah Hendricks, Dresner, trying to do everything he can. Werner Swart going and continuing on the drive, but Noah Hendricks up on the inside, going to carry a lot of momentum. Does put his side by side. Now, no, Noah Hendricks has got a lot of grip through here. He's able to carry a lot of momentum, but Dresner says, I can as well. Watch me, and see what you can do. So Dresner having to fight it out with Noah Hendricks on the way through. 2 very, very sensible drivers looking to push out of their limits now and see where exactly they can find each other's limits, and they will start to work it out as we see Mark Heron coming out of the pits, and he will rejoin onto the back of this battle and ahead of Jans van Rensburg, who is now going to be chasing him down. So interesting enough, Ryan Ottens though, when is he going to get into the pits now, knowing the threat that is behind him of the likes of Byron Mitchell, Luke Lucchesi, Jason Coetzee, who have all pulled into the pits and are not too far in the distance. Werner Swart, who is trundling it down. Second place for the Altered Carbon Racing. Still needs to get into the pits, but is showing the Mustang and giving us an absolute stunning show of what it is. Ryan Ottens now into the pits, and this is going to be to the music of Byron Mitchell, Luke Lucchesi, Jason Coetzee, Sean Straden, Wolfgang Weiss, all trying to make up that little bit of time. And Wolfgang Weiss, unfortunately, who lost out a lot of momentum, we'll have to figure it out as Mark Heron gets onto the back of Dresner. Noah Hendricks got past Dresner. Now Mark Heron has got an opportunity here to get around Dresner as quick as he can, knowing that his teammate managed to get by, but that has also allowed Jans van Rensburg to get onto the back of him. So keep an eye out for Jans van Rensburg. He's hoping to really keep that little bit of pressure. Werner Swart, Ryan Ottens into the pits. Byron Mitchell comes across, and Ryan Ottens is going to be coming out. Side by side they go. Ottens is going to have to give it horns if he wants to carry it through. The S's, he's not going to have the drive, the same as Byron Mitchell, but he is going to force Byron Mitchell to work for it. Side by side they go. Byron Mitchell cutting the nose of Ryan Ottens on the way through. Ryan's not done yet. He's middle of the circuit on the outside, looks for the sweep, can't get it through, trying to force Byron Mitchell offline. Byron's not backing down, and these two have yet again come to blows for first place in the final 10 minutes of the race. Byron Mitchell, Ryan Ottens looking to really claw at each other, doing everything they can to try and make up this little bit of time, and it is going to be an absolute screamer at this point. Mark Heron unfortunately loses out. He went into the wall coming out of the bus stop and is down the positions as Luka Logovic says thank you very much. He gets on by, gives him a quick salute, and For the Power Wheels Racing is now on the charge to make up some time. Dresner has opened up the gap and is on to the back of Noah Hendricks. So Noah Hendricks is going to have to keep a very good eye on the mirrors here, as Dresner has not forgotten what has happened. But the interesting race up in front. Byron Mitchell runs out wide, losing a lot of momentum there. Ryan Ottens trying to come back at him. Both utilizing every inch of the road as possible as they fight their way through in the remaining runs of this Heat 2 of the Raceface.Pro GT3 Sprint Series Pro Division. Byron Mitchell so far doing everything he can, runs out a bit wide, and Luke Lucchesi has closed up the gap. Luke Lucchesi actually seeing the fastest lap time of the race at 1:44.41 as he tries to make the move, closing up that 1.3 second deficit at the moment. The RDSA driver is going and smelling that there's blood in the water, and he is, remember, fighting for the championship. Luke Lucchesi has so much to lose here, but also he needs to go and score big to stand at the top. Luke Lucchesi is running third in the championship. Wolfgang Weiss is second in the championship, and Troy Dolenchik, who is not on the grid tonight, is going to be losing those points. So it's up for Luke Lucchesi to get ahead of Wolfgang Weiss and get ahead of Troy Dolenchik on this run. It's going to be a hard chase for him, but he needs these two cars to come to blows and land up behind him. Ryan Ottens and Byron Mitchell can't score points, otherwise Luke Lucchesi is in a world of trouble. Ryan Ottens, though, going and fighting it off with Byron Mitchell, going door to door with one another. The To Run Motorsports driver hoping to keep ahead of Ryan Ottens, who is really keeping the pace on, looking to try and fight his way through, doing an absolutely bang-up job of this absolute fight between the two drivers, and both just clipping the wall. So does Luke Lucchesi. I don't think anyone is going to have a straight door panel at the end of this as they make their way through. Luke Lucchesi in third, Jason Coetzee in fourth, Sean Stradham, Wolfgang Weiss, Noah Hendricks, René Dresner, Paul Herbert, John Jans van Rensburg, Yaz Samai, Luka Logovic, Mark Heron, Niall Bullion, Werner Swart, along with Cameron de Bastos, Florian Keller, along with Urian Pissoir and Alex Moore, unfortunately retiring out of the race. But Byron Mitchell defending the inside line, heading into the bus stop, and immediately swings out a little bit wide, forcing Ryan Ottens to come off the throttle. Ryan's sporting a little bit of damage on that left-hand front. You can see the scratch marks on the front spoiler of that Ferrari. And now it's a dive on the inside, tries to get it through, couldn't quite get it. Little dab of the brakes every so often, trying to just get that car to rotate underneath the likes of Byron Mitchell. Both drivers going and just dabbing the brakes just to get the car to rotate, to ensure that at least the nose sits on the apex, that the rear does whatever the rear needs to do to power them away from the rest. But that has allowed Luke Lucchesi to come into the fray. He is 0.1 of a second, going 0.9 as both drivers run out wide, utilizing every bit of the road everything possible, throwing the kitchen sink at one another. Noah Hendricks and René Dresner doing exactly the same in that regard as they throwing the kitchen sink at one another. Yes, and Luka Lagovic are going and doing everything that they can. Mark Heron and Niall Bullion. I mean, there is fights up and down through the order as they make their way through, but Dresner, unfortunately, landing up with a yellow flag. What happened to Dresner? Runs out wide. Does he clip the dirt? Does he go sideways? Does he lose it? And, just the lightest of tags. He hits the spin and just keeps it out of the wall, but that has cost him a huge amount of time and puts to bed that little dice once and for all for Heat 2 of the Raceface.Pro. Round 5 here at Watkins Glen. Byron Mitchell, Ryan Ottens still giving it horns, throwing the kitchen sink, throwing everything. The plungers, all of it are being used here today to fight it out between the Audi R8 and the Ferrari. The German machinery versus the Italian machinery. The V10, the V6 turbo, the naturally aspirated versus the turbo. Absolutely tremendous racing between them as they look to try and carry it on. Yes, Amai has got Luka Lagovic hunting him down. The Chevrolet GT3 all over the back of the Audi R8 GT3 Evo 2. Mark Heron dealing with Niall Bullion, running out wide. Niall's throwing everything he can into the mixes. They are closing up to the sharp end. So keep an eye out. Yes, Amai, Luka Lagovic, Mark Heron and Niall Bullion may actually come to blows with one another in very due course as they've been holding each other back. Luka around the outside, gonna try everything he can to throw the hammer down, couldn't quite get it sorted and loses out that little bit of time, runs out a bit wide, and so far turning into a absolute slobber knocker of the race. These drivers not backing down from anything. Byron Mitchell keeping ahead of Ryan Ottens into the closing stages of the race, with Luke Lakezzi keeping in tow. Jason Coetzee, Sean Stratham, Wolfgang Weiss, who is now in 6th place, trying to cut down that point deficit between himself and Luke Lakezzi. Noah Hendricks keeping ahead of Paul Gerber, who is throwing everything he can for Team Tryhard, with Van Rensburg chasing him down. Yes, Amai just ahead of Luka Lagovic as they make their way through the S's, charging up the hill, making their way towards the bus stop. Who is going to hold the inside line? That is going to be the determining factor here. Yes, Amai looks to try and keep it all sorted out. Luka's going to go around the outside, hard on the brakes, swings the nose in, couldn't quite get it all hooked in, runs out a bit wide, compromises his line. Mark Heron gets into the back of him. Now Mark Heron is into the fight, looks to try and get past, dives for the inside, dives for the outside. He is trying everything at this point to battle it out against the Chev. Outbrakes himself into the corner as he tries to carry a little bit too much more momentum, and that is going to allow Niall to get into the fray of things as well. So drivers are really giving it absolute horns at the moment, all going and pushing as hard as they can on the running stages of this race, but so far it's going to be an all or nothing for Byron Mitchell. Quick dab of the brakes as he catches the wall on the way through. The white flag is waving, and it's a last lap run for our drivers. It's the final lap for the likes of Byron Mitchell, Ryan Ottens, Luke Lakezzi, Jason Coetzee, Sean Stratham, Wolfgang Weiss, Noah Hendricks, Paul Gerber, all going and needing to give it absolute horns on the way through, and they know that it is final time to push. Paul Gerber trying to go around the outside, swings across, couldn't quite get the pass underneath the likes of Noah Hendricks as yet, but he is going to try his luck heading up the S's in the tow, pulls himself along, really giving it horns, trying to get that little bit more of a drive right behind, gets a bit unsettled though, looks to really give it everything he's got heading towards bus stop. Paul Gerber got the outside though, as he does see Noah Hendricks going and swapping to the inside line, goes and holds it all the way through, but does compromise his exit, but is able to hold that closing position. Ryan Ottens though, running out of time, has closed up the gap to Byron Mitchell has he got enough in the tank? Has he got enough to throw one last punch to the likes of Byron Mitchell? Can he break that fraction later? Can he get that little bit more speed as they into the final sector? Into the sunset they go, and it's Byron Mitchell still holding true. 2 corners to go. Byron Mitchell, 0.5 of a gap. Ryan Ottens has tried everything he could. Carries a bit of momentum. Unfortunately, not enough though. Byron Mitchell will come across the line, taking the win. Ryan Ottens, a well-fought fight to second place. Luke Lucchese gets third place. What a return for him. Jason Coetzee gets fourth. Sean Stradham taking fifth, with Wolfgang Weiss on a beautiful climb back. Noah Hendricks keeping it ahead of Paul Herber on the way through, and has done enough to earn that 8th place. Jans van Rensburg, along with the huge train, Yaz Samai, Luka Lagovic, Mark Heron, along with Nalbillion, René Dresner, Werner Swart comes across the line, Cameron de Bastos will come across the line after a hard-fought fight, and Florin Klenner as well in 17th position. Yurion P. Swart, Alex Moore, unfortunately out of the race early on due to those unfortunate incidents that took them way out of the mix. And Jaco van der Lith going in, unfortunately, not making it to the grid. But what a run, what a style, what an exciting race, ladies and gentlemen. What a race was that. My heavens, if that hasn't got you worn out and wanting more, I don't know what will here at the Raceface.Pro GT3 Pro split of the sprint series. Man, oh man. Bit out of breath after that one. Not quite sure what to say other than what an amazing feat our drivers had out there, and putting in some incredible lap times and really standing at the top of the charts for it all. But we'll have to see how the race continues, who will be able to get that climb a little bit further up in the championship when it all gets calculated as well. So we're going to look to try and get a couple of our drivers, Byron Mitchell, Ryan Ottens, Luke Lucchese, into the box, and a little bit of an interview with them on such a phenomenal race, some close racing all the way through. I'm looking forward to actually having a chat to Ryan Ottens and Byron Mitchell after the absolute slobberknocker of a fight they had in the final heat. Ryan Ottens had the fight with Jason Coetzee in the first heat. Byron Mitchell had the fight with Yurion P. Swart, and that was an absolute charge. Luke Lucchese with a great reclaim of positions for Heat 1, finishing in 8th, and now 3rd, maximizing the points for himself in Heat 2. So we're just waiting to see who will be able to come to the commentary box for a quick interview. And absolutely incredible stuff. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, a huge thank you to you all. Absolute petrol heads here at the Raceface.Pro GT3 iRacing Sprint Series. And glad to have you guys here in the virtual grandstand. It's always great to be back after a little bit of a hiatus, a forced hiatus, might I add. But it's always glad to be back with you guys. Plenty of racing action coming up this week. Tomorrow night, the Raceface.Pro PokerBet GT3 Sprint Series Round 3 returns. And don't miss all the racing action happening out on Sette Corsa Competizione. You want to be a part of that. Thursday night is the Raceface.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship. You want to go and see that. That's starting at 8:10 on Thursday. Both Pro and Pro-Am will be live streamed. Also, lots happening this month. We have got Raceface.Pro joining up with the South African Endurance Series for the 9 hours of Kailami, and go and look forward to seeing that on the 30th. Go and sign up with it. We're going to have physical rigs at the racetrack running parallel with the official 9 hours of Kailami. So you definitely want to sign up, be part of a team, grab one of your mates, grab your sim rig, get it to the circuit, and go for the Guinness World Record. 50 rigs at a LAN event, some rigs at a LAN event, and that will be the Guinness World Record broken. So let's go and do it for all of the South African endurance racers, and for those, a challenge out to those that are looking to get into the world of Assetto Corsa Competizione, and also those that are racing. In December, we've got the iRacing joining up Raceface.Pro and the Masters Series for the 8 Hours of Japan. Huge one, because that is the very first time that two iRacing promoters here in South Africa are working together on an endurance race. That is an absolute monster event. Definitely need to keep an eye out for it, considering it is going to be a wild one. So great to see it. It looks like we ain't going to have anyone joining us here for the interview, but a big thank you to you all. Thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you all. And tomorrow night, don't forget that Raceface.Pro PokerBet GT3 Sprint Series. We're going to be seeing some of the fastest in South Africa duke it out with one another. And for the very first time in a very long time, we're going to have two voices of Raceface.Pro slug it out against one another to find out who's the fastest voice here in Raceface.Pro. And that is going to be your very own Tristan Herbst against Alan Patterson. Who's going to stand at the top? Is it going to be the old dog himself, Alan, or is it going to be Tristan? Find out tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. And like always, let's see if I still remember how to do it. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody. With all the amazing racing that comes to you weekly, we have to give acknowledgement to our sponsors. Without them, this would not be possible here at Raceface.Pro. So starting off with our first sponsor, let's go and take your hats off to PokerBet. For all the tournaments, for all the cash games, daily free rolls, and sports betting, there's no better place to be and win with PokerBet. With it all revved up and you're looking for high speed, whether you're into drag, drift, or even long circuit, Red Star Raceway has got you covered. As we take a look off to all our machinery needs, head over to Oddendorf Machinery Mart. Remember to keep it slick with SA Lube, 20 years of Castrol distribution. Sliding in to keep you on your toes, Scallywags Drift Academy will keep you right at the top of the pack. And if you're looking for all your streaming needs, head over to Tenvo Tech for all the overlays. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's been an honor having you. We'll see you next time right here from the THT Productions.